Hello everyone, Board Game Lawyer here. It is a Saturday afternoon and I'm going to play some Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games. And so let's go down to the table and take a look and see what we're going to play with today. So I'm going to take another attempt at the Sinister Six. Now this is a scenario that was given to us by Critical Encounters podcast, Steve. He posted this in the MCM challenge for the week. And so basically what it tells us is that we're going to play against the Sinister Six. Any difficulty, so I pick standard. The encounter deck is going to have guerrilla tactics, which is part of its recommended setup, but also we're going to shuffle in the Sinister Assault modular set, and there's a few special rules with this, meaning if you reveal a minion that shares a name with a villain in play, discard the minion, and instead the corresponding villain activates against you. And then if you're playing an expert, it adds another layer to it, but we're playing standard today. If you reveal a villain that shares a name with a minion in play, discard the minion, and instead the corresponding villain activates against you. If you're playing expert, deal the villain one additional boost. So there's different additional boosts if you're playing in expert mode. The player deck rules is there are none. You can play with any cheaty hero you want in any aspect that you enjoy. And as far as reporting goes, you can send a link or post a picture. Let them know on Critical Encounters Discord, or you can send an email to criticalencounters@gmail.com. So anyway, let's get down to the table and let's get this game started. So we're going to look at Sinister Synchronization, which is the main scheme for this game. So we put the contents in: Dr. Octopus, Electro, Hobgoblin, Kraven the Hunter, Scorpion, and Vulture, 1 through 6. That's the Sinister Six. We also have the Guerrilla Tactics, the standard encounter set, as well as the Sinister Assault modular swirled in to that encounter deck today. The setup says choose X villains at random, where X is 1 or more. Then the number of players, put those villains into play, place the active counter on the villain with the lowest activation order value, and set the other villains aside. Put the light at the end side scheme into play, trap side face up. So a lot said there on that main scheme. Basically, the two random villains that they gave us is Electro, who is an activation order of 2. So we're going to put the active marker on him, the active counter on him. They also told us in this random setup to use Vulture as the second, and his activation order is 6. Okay, so that's everything for Sinister Synchronization. They did tell us to put in light in at the end. So light at the end, trap side up, is a permanent side scheme. It has a hinder of 10. Starts out with 10, so that means in solo mode it's going to begin with 20. Forced interrupt. When the last threat is removed from the scheme, resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. Flip this card. The players can escape on the other side, and that's how we beat this scenario. So let's flip over to side 1B of Sinister Synchronization. It says that it has that ambush ability, which is to choose that set-aside villain at random, put the villain into play, place the active counter on it. That's an ambush ability that gets triggered through various things in the game. The forced interrupt says when a villain would activate, if no villain is in play, resolve this card's ambush ability and continue that activation. Begins with 2 threat on it. And that is everything we need to know so far on the villain side. Let's take a look at the hero we're going to be playing with today. Peter Parker, who is the original Spider-Man. He is a scientist who generates a resource, a mental resource, limit once per round. He has a recovery of 3, and he is a genius. He also likes New York University, as you can tell by the looks of his t-shirt. I haven't mulliganed yet. Let's see what we got in our hand. We got the Power of Protection with no green cards, so that's not very pleasing. We have Webbed Up, which is a great card. We've got Enhanced Spider Sense, good card. Aunt May, Staple, Swinging Web Kicks. That's how you do a lot of your damage in this game. So we're probably not going to be able to play 2 at the beginning, so we'll discard one of them. We'll also discard Enhanced Spider Sense, since that's a more of a defensive type card. Hero Interrupt, Treachery when it's revealed. Webbed Up, we'll go ahead and discard Webbed Up for now, and we'll hang on to Aunt May, Power Protection, and the Swinging Web Kick. So as you can tell, we're playing with the protection aspect today. And this is a deck that I built. That's one of those 5-minute decks that I build to play this game. which I enjoy. So anyhow, Peter Parker, we're going to draw up our hand size. So we got the Spider Tracer. We don't have any minions on the table, so that's kind of worthless. Backflip, that's probably going to be a resource. Oh, we got the Web Shooter. That's good. So if we put out the Web Shooter using that mental resource that Peter Parker generates, we'll also use the Backflip to put out our Aunt May. We'll flip over to our hero side. We use one of those resources from that Web Shooter, to generate a wild resource. We'll spend the Spider Tracer and the Power of Protection. We're going to do 8 solid damage over here to Electro. After Electro attacks and damages you, discard the 7 cards of your deck. That's his forced response, but we're interested in his when defeated ability, which is to remove 4 threat from a side scheme, 7 threat instead if there's no villain in play. So we're going to do that solid 8 damage onto Electro, which is going to allow us to remove 4 threat from light at the end. So that drops it down to 16. We'll take all of the health away from Electro. Get rid of his active counter. Flip him over. Out of play. Swinging Web Kick goes to the discard pile. The active counter then moves over to Vulture. I believe that's what happens. Yeah. Remove threat from side scheme. Yeah. Set the villain aside. I believe that's how it works. Sinister Synchronization. When a villain would activate, no villain in play. Resolve this card's ambush ability. Alright. Okay, so Aunt May, we got Spider-Man who can do 2 damage to the Vulture. I think we'll do that. We'll exhaust Spider-Man. 2 damage to the Vulture. And we'll draw up our hand size, advancing the phase, turning things back over to the Vulture. So we've got Jump Flip, Enhanced Spider Sense, Spider Tracer, Nightcrawler, and another Jump Flip. Jump Flip says, defense, when you take any amount of damage, prevent 2 of that damage if you paid for this card using a energy resource, remove 2 threat from the main scheme. So we're going to begin by placing 1 threat onto Sinister Synchronization. Vulture is going to attack us, so we'll deal him an encounter card. Let's take a look at the Vulture's force response. After Vulture attacks and damages you, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. Move the active counter to the next villain in activation order. So let's do this. How about we're going to defend this attack, and we will flip our boost card, which is 1, 2, 3. So we got defensive 3, but there is a special boost on there. It says each, deal 1 indirect damage to each player. In expert mode, deal 1 additional direct and indirect damage to the first player. So let's see, after Vulture attacks and damages you, choose and discard a card from your hand. So I'll tell you what, how about when you would take any amount of damage, we're going to prevent 2 of that damage. Nah. We'll just, should we just discard a card at random? I believe that's what Vulture does. After Vulture attacks and damages you. So he will do 1 indirect damage to us. Go the right way. So now he's down to 9. We'll discard Hidden in Shadow. He doesn't do any damage from his attack, but he did damage us from the boost. So I assume we still have to discard a card. So let's find one of these. Let's do a random discard here. So we get rid of one of those jump flips. So I was going to use it anyway to block that damage, but now we just have to spend 1 card instead of 2. All right, Vulture attacks us, and then we draw Vulture. Okay, so this says, if you reveal a minion that shares a name with a villain in play, discard the minion, and instead the corresponding villain attacks or activates against you. So There we go. We'll discard this Vulture. So Vulture's going to attack us again. We've already blocked once. So he's going to do at least 2 damage. So let's flip that card, and it says in expert mode, or each enemy gets +1 scheme and +1 attack. No, the boost says in expert mode this card gains +2 boost icons for this activation. So we're not playing in expert mode, so the boost we'll just ignore. Special boost. So it's going to do 4 damage to us, and we also have to discard a card. So let's do that. Let's take damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll discard one of our cards at random. And we lose the other jump flip. Alright. And he's the only villain on the table. So it says move the active counter to the next villain in the activation order. There's no other active villains on the table right now. So we'll advance the phase. Now it's turned over to Spider-Man. We have a Spider-Man on the table who has been exhausted. We do have Nightcrawler in our hand. Good card. So we'll spend the Spider Tracer, and we're going to spend Enhanced Spider Sense. We'll exhaust the Web Shooter. Remove a counter from there to make another. So that'll give us enough economy to put out Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is going to thwart for 2 on the main scheme. We're going to flip Spider-Man. Now Aunt May says that we can exhaust her to heal 4 damage from Peter Parker, and I think that's a great idea. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we will turn things back over to the Sinister Six. So let's take a look at our hand. What we've got now is a Swinging Web Kick. We got Defiance, a Multiple Man, Never Back Down, Energy, and Judoku Skill. All right. Very good. So we place 1 threat on Sinister Synchronization. Vulture is going to scheme for 1 plus nothing. But we have a special boost which says put this minion into play, engage with you. Interesting, life-size decoy says that the engaged player cannot thwart side schemes. So yeah, we'll just put that life-size decoy right there into play. And so he's going to scheme for 1. So we add 1 more to Sinister Synchronization. Life-size decoy is going to scheme for 0. And then we draw our encounter card. And it is surprise. In expert mode, this card gains surge and cannot be canceled. It says when revealed, resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. If no villain was put into play this way, place 3 threat on light at the end. Well, we've got 5 inactives. So the ambush ability says choose a set-aside villain at random, put that villain into play, and place the active counter on it. So let's choose a random number. So we'll, out of these 5 inactive villains, we'll take a random number 1 to 5. We select 3. Hobgoblin comes out into play. Whoops. Didn't mean to deal him a card. Let's put that back where it belongs. On top of the encounter deck. So we're going to flip over to Hobgoblin. And the active counter is now going to move to Hobgoblin. So we'll remove it from the Vulture. Alright. That is the end of the villain phase. Alright, so we've got Nightcrawler on the table. Peter Parker can generate a resource. Aunt May can heal us up, so I think she will. We're just going to have her heal us back up to 10. Alright, so we're full strength. We do have a resource that we can spend on the scientist, Peter Parker. So we're going to spend 2 energy and a Never Back Down and that Peter Parker to put out Multiple Man. Ooh, do I want to do that just yet? I'm not sure I want to put out Multiple Man just yet. Let's see. We've got Nightcrawler on the table. And yeah, let's see. We've got Swinging Web Kick. And we've got Nightcrawler. Judoku skill. How about if I put Judoku skill on the table using that mental resource from Peter Parker, and we'll also use Never Back Down. So now we have Judoku skill on the table. We're going to flip to our hero side. We can do that swinging web kick. Or we could put multiple man. I can only put 2 multiple men on the table. Let's see. Spider-Man, Nightcrawler. Let's do this. Nightcrawler is going to attack life-size decoy, vulture, or hobgoblin. I do want to try to get that swinging web kick off. So how about we do this? Nightcrawler is going to attack Hobgoblin. He's going to hit him for 2. Knocks Hobgoblin down to 7. Spider-Man is going to do his swinging web kick. So we'll spend Defiance. And I guess multiple man. And maybe... Nah, I'll hang on to Defiance. We'll spend multiple man and those 2 energy there to play that swinging web kick. That'll knock Hobgoblin all the way out. Yeah, let's do that. Let's knock him all the way down to 0. Move the active counter then over to Vulture. Hobgoblin's going to flip. He's going to remove 4 threat from a scheme. So let's remove 4 threat at light at the end because that is not a thwart ability. So life-size decoy doesn't stop us. And then how about with Spider-Man? We just do 2 damage to Vulture? Yeah, I think so. We'll hang on to Defiance. That keeps Vulture from being able to draw a boost card. We'll end our turn. Nightcrawler, that was his second action, so we got Backflip, Never Back Down, Multiple Man, Iceman, and Defiance. Those are the cards in hand. So Vulture, we're going to place 1 threat on Sinister Synchronization. Vulture is going to attack us for 2. We'll allow that to happen. Boost card is 0. So he's going to attack us for 2. We're going to use the backflip to get out of that damage. And then we will deal an encounter card. From every direction, it says in expert this mode, this card gains surge. We are in standard. When revealed, place 1 threat on the main scheme for each enemy in play. Well, there's 2 enemies in play, and so 2 threat is going on to Sinister Synchronization. So we're just 1 away, or 2 away, from threading out on our main scheme. So we're going to have to take care of that this turn, no doubt. Alright, so Iceman. We could bring Iceman out onto the table. We can spend, let's see, 2? I probably, let's see, Judoku Seal says when you defend, so we weren't defending. So we're going to spend 3 resources, Never Back Down, Defiance, and Multiple Man to put out Iceman. Okay, he can attack for 2, Nightcrawler for 2, Spider-Man for 2. And we do need to knock down this, we need to knock some threat off of this main scheme. So how about we do this? How about with Spider-Man, we do 2 damage to Vulture. With Iceman, exhaust Iceman to do 2 damage to Vulture, and it says you can remove 7 threat from a side scheme. So yeah, that's what we'll do.
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
So we're going to knock Vulture out, and we'll remove 7 threat from light at the end. So now there is no active villain on the table. We just have a life-size decoy sitting out there, whom I have named Daniel. Nightcrawler, no, I don't think so. We'll just hang on to Nightcrawler for now. Hopefully we won't get a lot of threat placed upon us. And we will end our turn. Excellent. Alright, so we grabbed Electrostatic Armor, Iron Fist, another Multiple Man, Judoku Skill, and Never Back Down. Alright. We have 1 threat that we're going to place onto Sinister Synchronization, and it has that special ambush ability. Choose a set aside villain at random, put that villain into play, place the active counter on it. Okay, so let's do that. There are now 6 inactive villains. We'll draw 1 through 6 at random. It is a random 5, so Scorpion comes into play. We'll flip him over to his active side, and we'll put the active token on him. It says after Scorpion attacks and damages you, stun a character you control, remove the active counter to the next villain in the activation order. You know, I don't think I was drawing cards either before for Spider-Man using his spider sense, so I should have been drawing cards. So I have been playing at a disadvantage here for a few minutes, I believe. So anyway, Scorpion is going to attack us. He's going to attack Spider-Man for 3. We'll go ahead and draw our card because we remembered it this time. And we are going to block with Nightcrawler. Deals a card. It's a boost of 1, so it's 3. After Scorpion attacks and damages you, stun a character you control. We're going to use Nightcrawler's ability. It says when an X-Men character would take any amount of damage from an attack, spend an energy resource and return Nightcrawler to your hand to prevent all of that damage. Let us spend, how about Black Cat? Yeah, we'll use Black Cat. Let's see. Now let's use Electrostatic Armor instead. And we'll put Nightcrawler back in our hand. Deal an encounter card, and it reads Hidden Shadow. I deal 1 indirect damage to each player. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is a side scheme. This is not the boost. This is a side scheme. Each enemy gains 1 hazard icon, and it comes into play with 4 threat on it. Okay. So Hidden Shadow is on the table. All right. We've got Nightcrawler and Black Cat. Between those two, it would cost us 5 resources to put them out onto the table. And we just so happen to have 5 resources handy here. So, let's do this. Let's spend 3 resources. The Web Shooter, Never Back Down, and Judoka Skill to put out Nightcrawler. We'll spend 2 resources to put out Black Cat, Multiple Man, and Iron Fist. Black Cat says that after you play Black Cat, discard the top 2 cards from your deck, add each card with a printed mental resource this way into our hand. So the first one is Webbed Up. The second one is Moondragon, so we'll put Moondragon into our hand. Now we've got Nightcrawler, Iceman, Black Cat, and we have enough to knock out that life-size decoy to where we can start removing threat from Hidden in Shadow. We just don't have a lot of thwart right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hidden Shadow gains. So each enemy gains 1 hazard icon. Ugh. each enemy. That includes even this life-size decoy here. So let's get rid of that life-size decoy. What do you say? Let's do 2 damage with on the life-size decoy. With Nightcrawler, Iceman is going to do 2 damage to the life-size decoy. Black Cat is going to do a damage to the life-size decoy. So we're going to discard that life-size decoy, placing consequential damage onto Black Cat. And then Spider-Man is going to thwart for 1 off of Sinister Synchronization. And we will advance the phase. Turning things over to the Sinister Six. We have Moondragon, Strength, Defensive Stance, Ingenuity, and a Jump Flip in our hand. Alright, so we're going to place 1 threat on Sinister Synchronization. Scorpion is going to attack us. Deal a boost. Boost is 0 plus 3. Oh, we defended with Nightcrawler, by the way. And we're going to spend Defensive Stance, that energy resource, to return a Nightcrawler to our hand to block all the damage done. We did draw a card too because we were attacked. Defensive Stance is discarded. Okay, so we got Genius, Nightcrawler, Jump Flip, Strength. Okay, we got some good cards in our hand. Hidden in Shadow. Because Hidden in Shadow's on the table, we're going to deal ourselves 2 encounter cards. The first one is here. Next one is here. First one reads, Taunting Persistence. Attached to the villain with the most remaining hit points. If you cannot, resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. Then attach this card to the active villain. Threat cannot be removed from light at the end. Okay. So Taunting Persistence is now on Scorpion. Next, we read Partnership of Pain. When revealed hero, the villain with the highest activation order activates against you with attack plus where X is equal to the total attack of other villains in play. No other villains in play. So Scorpion's going to attack us for 3. Discard that. We'll block with Black Cat. We're going to draw another card because he's attacking us. So Black Cat is going to defend, and we draw 1, 2, 3, 4. So Black Cat is knocked out. And after Scorpion attacks and damages you, stun a character you control, then move the active counter to the next villain in activation order. So nothing, no result there. And we turn things back over to Spider-Man. Right, we got Moondragon. We got Ingenuity too. And Nightcrawler. And Iceman. How about we do this? We put out Nightcrawler. Spend a Genius and a Jump Flip to put out Nightcrawler. We will put out Moondragon, spending Web Shooter and Strength to put out Moondragon. Scorpion schemes for 0. So we could I don't want to lose Iceman just yet. Moondragon is going to remove 1 threat from Hidden in Shadow. Nightcrawler is going to remove 2 threat from Hidden in Shadow. Spider-Man is going to finish off Hidden in Shadow. We'll discard Hidden in Shadow. Iceman? I think we'll risk it. Yeah, Iceman, we'll get rid of Iceman. So we got to place 1 consequential damage on the Nightcrawler, 1 consequential damage on Moondragon. Iceman is going to thwart for 1 to remove a threat off of Sinister Synchronization. And then we'll hang on to Ingenuity. We're going to flip over to our Peter Parker side. And we'll end the phase. Alright, so we got to deal ourselves an encounter card because we decked ourselves. Please let me. Why can't I? There we go. There's the encounter card that we deal ourselves. We place 1 threat on Sinister Synchronization. Scorpion is going to scheme for 0 plus 1. So Sinister Synchronization goes off. And then that's going to bring out the Sinister Beatdown, which is choose a set-aside villain at random, put that villain into play, and place the active counter on it, even if another villain has the counter. Alright, so we're going to choose a random number between 1 and 5. That random number is 2. So we're going to flip over Electro. Move the active counter to Electro. Take it off of Scorpion here. And we'll flip Sinister Beatdown. And it begins with 3 threat on it. It has that ambush ability just like the other main scheme did. When a villain would activate, is the force interrupt. If no villain is in play, resolve the card's ambush ability. Continue that activation. So again, it says if this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So begins with 3 threat on it. Electro now is going to deal an encounter card. And it is the Eviction Notice. So we got 2 encounter cards, one that was sitting over here by Vulture, and this one over here, Eviction Notice, to deal with. So with Eviction Notice, it says you can exhaust Peter Parker to remove Eviction Notice from the game, or you can discard 1 card at random from your hand. This card gains Surge. So let's just remove Eviction Notice from the game. And then our second encounter card, we're just going to exhaust Peter Parker. Our second encounter card reads Brute Force Barricade. The Brute Force Barricade says it has a victory of 1. When defeated, this card is added to the victory display. Threat cannot be removed from other side schemes. Give the villain... Okay, so the boost would be give it a villain additional boost for this activation. But we're interested in this here. Threat cannot be removed from other side schemes. So Light at the End cannot have threat removed from it now at all whatsoever. Alright. We don't have to heal Peter Parker, but we could use his mental resource along with a Defiance to put Ingenuity out into play, which lets us generate another mental resource. I will flip over to Spider-Man. Nightcrawler is going to remove 2 threat off of Brute Force Barricade. Moondragon, nothing for now. We'll bring Starhawk out. And we'll use the Power of Protection to put Starhawk out. So Starhawk is going to exhaust to take a threat off of the Brute Force Barricade. And we'll just leave Moondragon on the table for now. So we're going to place 1 consequential damage onto Starhawk and another consequential damage onto Nightcrawler. Advance the phase. Alright, so Electro. It says, after Electro attacks and damages you, discard the top 7 cards of your deck. Remove the active counter to the next villain in activation order. Alright, so we place 1 threat first on the Sinister Beatdown. Electro. After he damages us, we discard 7 cards. We're going to block that with... Yes, Spider-Man is... No, Spider-Man's not going to do it. Nightcrawler is going to absorb this attack. So the boost card is 3 plus 1 is 4. We'll spend an energy resource, which is this Defiance card here, to bring Nightcrawler back into our hand. Discard that boost card. We'll move the counter over now to Scorpion. And we deal ourselves another encounter card, which is Surprise. In expert mode, this card gains Surge and cannot be cancelled. When revealed, resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. If no villain was put into play this way, place 3 light at 3 threat on light at the end. So let's we've got 4 inactives, so we're going to randomly draw 1 through 4, and we draw a 2. So Hobgoblin comes into play. And does it say anything about moving? Resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. The ambush ability on the main scheme says place the active counter onto Hobgoblin. Alright, so we'll discard Surprise. Now we've got 3 villains out there on the table. And we've got some cards in hand. Alright, Moondragon says, exhaust and discard Moondragon. Choose a minion. That minion attacks another enemy of your choice. Well, we don't have any minions on the table right now. We do have Starhawk. And Starhawk could do 2 damage and bounce back into our hand. I like that idea. So Starhawk, we're going to exhaust Starhawk to do 2 damage to Scorpion. We'll bounce Starhawk back into our hand because of his text. And then we'll spend an Ingenuity and a Black Cat to put Starhawk back out onto the table. And we'll do 2 more damage to Scorpion. 1, 2. And I'll place 2 consequential damage onto Starhawk for that. We could spend 3 resources, who are the Multiple Man, Webbed Up, and a Backflip, to put out Nightcrawler onto the table. Nightcrawler is going to remove 2 threat from Brute Force Barricade, or do 2 damage to the Scorpion. I think we do 2 damage to Scorpion. We need to get Scorpion off the table because that taunting presence is problematic. Can now remove threat from light at the end as long as that's on the table. Light at the end is how we win the game, removing threat from there. So we'll place 1 consequential damage onto Nighthawk. And then Spider-Man is going to do 2 damage to the Scorpion. We got Judoka skills. Okay, good. I think that's everything that we can do on our turn. Let's see what these Sinister Six have up their sleeve for their turn. I know for sure we're placing 1 threat on the Sinister Beatdown. Hobgoblin is going to attack. It says, after Hobgoblin attacks and damages, you take 2 indirect damage. Move the active counter to the next villain in activation order. So he is going to attack us. We're going to draw a card because we are Spider-Man. We will exhaust Nightcrawler. And so it's going to be 3. We're going to spend an energy resource to put Nightcrawler into our hand. Discard card, and it says after Hobgoblin attacks and damages you, take 2 indirect damage. So we don't take any indirect damage, but we do need to move the active counter to the next villain in activation order, which is the Scorpion. Alright. Okay. So we do need to get rid of that Scorpion. And I think we'll bring Nightcrawler out onto the table to do that. Let's see. We still need to draw an encounter card, though. And that encounter card is another life-size decoy. So we can't thwart. Engaged player cannot thwart side schemes. Okay. Nightcrawler out onto the table. We're going to spend Power of Protection and a mental resource to put him out. Nightcrawler is going to attack Scorpion for 2. So after he's defeated, it says remove 4 threat from a side scheme. So we're going to take 4 threat off of the Brute Force Barricade. We get to discard Taunting Presence. We're going to flip the Scorpion. And the active counter is going to go down to Electro. Nightcrawler takes 1 consequential damage. Starhawk now is going to... We're going to exhaust Starhawk to remove a threat off of the Sinister Beatdown. Starhawk's going to bounce into our hand because that finishes him off with exactly the number of hit points. And so we'll bring him back out. We'll use energy to do that. So Starhawk is going to do 2 damage to the life-size decoy. Spider-Man's going to do 2 damage to the life-size decoy. Moondragon is just going to do a damage to that life-size decoy. We'll get rid of that life-size decoy. We do lose Moondragon. And we will put electrostatic armor now onto the table. And we'll use jump flip to do that. Okay. End our turn. Placing 1 threat on Sinister Beatdown. Electro is going to attack against us now. If he damages us, we discard the top 7 cards of our deck and move the active counter to the next villain in activation order. We do have Defiance on the table, so I think that we're going to try to block this attack with Nightcrawler. Flip the card. Does 1 damage to Nightcrawler. So we won't bounce Nightcrawler necessarily back into our hand, I guess, at this point, because we didn't do enough damage to him. No, we didn't. Discard card. And that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Kind of wanted to bounce into my hand and get some more value out of him. But anyway, so we move the active counter over here to Hobgoblin. Deal an encounter card, and it is Electro. Electro is active. And so because we drew a minion, we revealed a minion that shares with the villain in play. Discard the minion instead, and the corresponding villain activates against you. So now Hobgoblin is going to activate against Spider-Man. He only does 1 damage. And it says when you defend against an enemy attack, after you defend against an enemy attack, Defiance Never Back Down says, when you would defend against an attack, you get +2 defense for this attack. If you take no damage from this attack, stun the attacking enemy. Okay. So I think we will defend. So we're 3, 4, 5. And we will remove one of these Judoku skills. So now we're at least up to 7. So he's going to attack us for 2 + 1 is 3. So Never Back Down says that now that since we've taken no damage, we can stun the attacking enemy. So we're going to stun him. Electro. The electrostatic armor goes off. We deal 1 damage to the attacking character. So we're going to knock Electro down to 7. Partnership of Pain. That was our boost. Never Back Down is discarded. And I think that's the end of the round. Let me look and make sure that I played that card correctly. Oh, yeah, I did. What happened to Electro? I think I put Electro in my discard pile. Let me look and see. Yeah, I sure did. So Electro should have gone to the discard pile. That's why he activated. We'll discard Electro. Yeah, put it in the right spot. So Electro is on the table. He just attacked us. Now he's stunned. And he took a damage. And we'll now turn things back over to Spider-Man. So Nightcrawler, he is exhausted. The only one I can do anything with is Starhawk right now, and I think that with Starhawk we're going to exhaust him to remove a threat off of the brute force barricade. That's going to bounce Starhawk to our hand. We're going to spend multiple man, and we're going to spend Never Back Down to put Starhawk back out onto the table. Starhawk's going to exhaust, doing 1 consequential damage to himself to get rid of that brute force barricade. And again, the brute force barricade told us that threat cannot be removed from the other side schemes, but it does go to the victory display once it's defeated. So we're going to add that to the victory display. All right. So now then, we've got Ingenuity, we got Enhanced Spider Sense, Defiance. Good. So we'll go ahead and ready everything, advance the phase, turn things back over to them bad guys. Placing 1 threat on to Sinister Beatdown. Hobgoblin is the active villain. It says after Hobgoblin attacks and damages, you take 2 indirect damage and move the active counter to the next villain in activation order. So we're going to block this attack with Nightcrawler. Draw the Scorpion as the boost. So we're going to spend that Spider Tracer to bounce Nightcrawler back into our hands. Scorpion goes to the discard pile. Good thing. And now we will move the active counter over to Electro. And deal the encounter card. Encounter card is Caught Off Guard, so it says discard an upgrade or supports you control. If no cards were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. Let's get rid of Electrostatic Armor or Judoku Skill. Let's get rid of Judoku Skill. I've got another one of those. I don't have another Electrostatic Armor. And then that's going to end the villain's turn. Got a Swinging Web Kick back finally. Nightcrawler, we got Ingenuity, and Spider-Man. So we do need to start removing some of that threat off of the Sinister Beatdown. We're getting too close to threading out and losing this game. Nightcrawler, bringing Nightcrawler in would, yeah, probably do us some good. Yeah, I think so. Now let's put Nightcrawler out onto the table. We'll bring him out for 3. We'll use Iron Fist and Enhanced Spider Senses and Ingenuity to put Nightcrawler out. We'll exhaust Nightcrawler to take 2 threat off of the Sinister Beatdown. We'll exhaust Starhawk to remove a threat off of Sinister Beatdown. 1 more consequential damage onto him. Spider-Man also is going to remove a threat off of Sinister Beatdown. Let's just get ourselves a little bit of breathing room here, and then we will advance the phase. Alright, so we place 1 consequential damage onto Sinister Beatdown. Electro is going to attack us, but he is stunned, so he's not going to attack us. After Electro attacks and damages, you discard the top card of the deck, move the active counter to the next villain. So he did not use his activation, so he's going to keep the active counter. And then we are going to deal ourselves High Fashion. In expert mode, we'll ignore that. It says, when revealed, put the set aside Electro and Kraven the Hunter into play. If Electro is already in play, discard the highest cost card you control. If Kraven the Hunter is already in play, discard the lowest cost card you control. So Kraven the Hunter is going to come into play. Whoops, didn't mean to deal him a card there. Put that back on top of the deck. We flip Kraven the Hunter. And because Electro is in play, it says discard the highest cost card you control. The highest cost card I control is Nightcrawler. He was my bouncer. He was bouncing back to my hand, so Nightcrawler is out. Right out. Not good. Okay, so with Nighthawk, alright, we got a swinging web kick we can use. Iceman, webbed up, Defiance. How about with Starhawk? Yeah, we're going to use Starhawk. We're going to bounce Starhawk back to our hand. We're going to remove 1 threat off of light at the end. Starhawk comes back into our hand. We'll use a swinging web kick. 3 Genius and an Ingenuity to do a swinging web kick onto Electro. Yeah, we'll knock out Electro. And we'll remove 4 threat from light at the end. Which is going to cause that card to flip. So it's going to come into play with 5 threat plus 10 hinder. Players cannot win unless they escape. Forced interrupt. When the last threat is removed from the scheme, the players escape and win the game. Starhawk or Iceman. Starhawk or Iceman. Which one? Let's bring Starhawk out into play. We'll spend Iceman. And we'll spin Webbed Up to put Starhawk out. Starhawk is going to remove a threat off of light at the end. Yeah, let's just start getting this game within reach. Spider-Man's going to remove a threat off of light at the end. It brings it down to 13. Place 1 consequential damage on the Starhawk, and we will turn things back over to the Sinister Six. Hand size of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. So we're going to place 1 threat on the beatdown. Hobgoblin is now going to attack. It says after Hobgoblin attacks and damages, you take 2 indirect damage. Move the active counter to the next villain in activation order. That's if he attacks and damages us. Now we have Never Back Down, which says when you defend against an attack, you get +2 defense. I do think we want to try a swinging web kick here. So we could defend for 3. We could play the Defiance card, which I think I will. Defiance, so he does not draw an encounter card. And so Electrostatic Armor is going to go off. After you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. So we'll deal 1 damage to Hobgoblin. Defiance is discarded, so we didn't draw a discard, or we didn't draw a boost. When you would draw a boost, would it be turned off, discard it instead? Let's see what it would have been. Would have been an assault card, 0. We would have been fine. Discard Defiance. And did 1 damage to Hobgoblin. Deal 2 encounter cards. First one, second one. And do we move the active counter? Yeah, we do move the active counter over to Craven. First one is Frequent Flyers. When revealed, put the set aside Hobgoblin and Vulture into play. If Hobgoblin's already in play, take 2 indirect damage. If Vulture's already in play, discard 1 random card from your hand. So we're going to flip Vulture. Hobgoblin is already in play, and so we're going to take 2 indirect damage, and we'll put both of them on Starhawk. That's Frequent Flyers. Second encounter card reads Coordinated Effort. Ooh. It says each enemy gains an acceleration icon. So we got 3 enemies out there on the table right now. They all get an acceleration icon. Not good at all. We're going to deal with that. Can't do anything with Enhanced Spider Sense. Probably should have used that before. Alright, so we can spend Swing Web Kick. Multiple man. Let me see how many multiple man are in my discard pile. I'm sure there's at least 1 in there. Yep, there is 1. Both of them are in there actually, so not a really good idea to put out multiple man right now. Starhawk could come out into play, but I can't bring the Swinging Web Kick and Starhawk out into the game. So we may just have to hang on to that Swinging Web Kick for now. Oh, we can't, because we're going to have 1, 2, 3 acceleration icons plus the 1. I think I lost. I think this game is done, because Starhawk, even if I brought him out, he can only remove 1 threat, and we would have to place 4 at the beginning of the turn. If I bring him out and I can't bring him out and do the swinging web kick. I don't have enough resources for that. We got ingenuity. You know what, though? I could flip. If I flip down, that's not good either. Craven the Hunter is going to scheme. That'd be the only way. Is to do a swinging web kick, flip down with Starhawk. Get rid of one of these guys. Still couldn't remove enough threat to get rid of the coordinated effort. 4. Trying to figure out how I can make this work. I don't think I can. I can't confuse anyone. Ugh. Swinging web kick. Using ingenuity, spider sense, and never back down. That's going to do 8 damage to Hobgoblin. That takes 4 threat off of a scheme. We can't take the 4 off of Sinister Beatdown, right? It has to come off of a side scheme, yeah. Let's take 4 off of Light at the End. 1, 2, 3, 4. Discard Swinging Web Kick. Flip down to Peter Parker. Use that mental resource and a multiple man to put out Starhawk. Starhawk exhausts to remove a threat off of Sinister Beatdown. 1 consequential damage onto him. And we advance things back over to Sinister Six. Alright, so 1 acceleration icon. Yeah, this game's over. 1, 2, so we're up to 6, and then another one because Craven's going to scheme. He's going to scheme for 1 plus 0, and that's going to place our 7th threat onto the Sinister Beatdown. So that coordinated effort did us in this time. 1 acceleration icon for both of these. Yeah. Game over. So it was a fun game. A long game. It was a fun game. Just couldn't quite. I missed it by like 1 resource, I think. Because, yeah, if I could have stayed up into Peter, if I could have stayed in Spider-Man form, at least I wouldn't have threaded out. He would have attacked us for. After Craven attacks and damages you, choose to discard a sport or upgrade you control. That's fine. And then the encounter cards that would have been dealt to me were Life-Size Decoy and Shadow of the Past. So yeah, out comes Vulture. I had a Vulture on the table. He would have attacked us. Things would have happened. Not likely to win. So thanks for watching my playthrough today. If you get a chance to watch this on Twitch, you can send me an email at boardgamelawyer@gmail.com. You can also check out some of my other videos over there on the YouTubes. So thanks for watching today. Again, this was a Critical Encounters challenge that they gave us. This is the Sinister Six using the Guerrilla Tactics and the Sinister Assault modular set with special rules when revealing villains and minions that match each other on the table. Pretty fun challenge, hard to beat. I thought I was doing pretty good, but I think whenever I lost when I lost my Nightcrawler, that was the end of fishing. So, all right, take care, everyone. Thanks for watching, and have a great evening.